Okay, this is going to be a brief demonstration of, or a representation of how the pleural cavity works. So remember that the pleural cavity is the fluid-filled lining between your lungs and the rib cage, and they work to hold the lungs out and counteract the forces of the elastic fibers around the alveoli and the cohesive force of water around the alveoli. Those two forces tend to collapse the lungs, and there has to be something opposing that that holds the lungs out to the rib cage, and that's the pleural cavity, the fluid-filled pleural cavity that holds those lungs out to the rib cage. And a good demonstration of the physics underlying it can be done with a couple of glass slides. So I have here a couple of glass microscope slides, and the outer one here, top one, is going to represent the rib cage, and the bottom one is going to represent the lungs, and the pleural cavity is between them. And so if this is dry, so these are currently dry, and with them dry, if I let go of the bottom one, what's going to happen? Gravity is going to take over and it's going to allow it to drop, right? No force, no connection holding those two slides together when they're dry. But if I take some water and I just drip a little bit of water onto the bottom one, a couple good drops there, see? A little bit of water on the bottom one. And I do this same approach now with some water on the bottom slide. So if I slap this top one on here, and that water immediately smooths out and covers the entire space between the two slides. Now what's going to happen if I hold on to the top one and let go of the bottom one? It's still there. It's still held there. And that's, the force of that water holding those two slides together. Okay. Now, second step is, the other thing is that the lungs have to inflate and deflate, and they have to slide against the rib cage. Now look at this. This allows these two layers to easily slide against each other. So this fluid-filled pleural cavity does two things. It holds the lungs out to the thoracic wall, but it also allows the lungs to slide against the thoracic wall so you don't get abrasion. Okay? So that's a simple demonstration of some physics behind how the pleural cavity holds the lungs out to the rib cage.